Oh, okay. So I'll again repeat the problem. So you want to write a code which will take an integer n as an input, and you have to print all the binary numbers possible, which are of length n. So let's say in my case, if n is 3, 0 is the first three-digit binary number. The other one is 001, other one is 010, 011, 100, 101, all the way up to 111. So these are 8 possible combinations, right? So I want you to write me a code which will take an integer n as an input. This is my input, and this is what I want to print as an output. This should be my output. Yeah. Anyone? Sriram, did you understand the question now, or should I repeat it once more? We'll convert it into two part three. Okay. Okay. So you are saying, okay, like before even going to recursion, let's say I want to solve this problem with the help of loop. Okay. So Sriram is saying that I know that for a given n, we have we need to print the binary representation from 0 all the way up to 2 power n minus 1, right? So I'll iterate from 0 to 2 power n minus 1, and we can convert all these numbers into binary and print that. But this we are doing with the help of loops. I don't want to use loops. I want to use recursion. Recursion is internally in loop. So you can consider that as a loop, as a substitute of loop. So I want to achieve this task with the help of recursion. How can you solve this? So as I've told you, you have some bigger problem. You have to solve it for n equals to, let's say, 4. How can you break it down into two parts, where one part is solving one problem, like smaller part, and the other one is calling this function again with smaller n, let's say n dash, which can be 3, 2, or anything. Anyone, guys, any approaches that you can come up with? Okay, okay. So I think I'll tell you the approach. Okay. So let's say I want to calculate the answer for n equals to 4. Okay, which will be starting from 0 up to r81111. Okay, these are all the possible cases. So somehow, if I know the answer for n equals to 3, let's say I have printed the answer for n equals to 3. I have the answers for n equals to 3, which is from 000 all the way to 111. Can we append as 0 ones in all these? And similarly, can we append a 1 in all these? And the union of both of them will give me the total number of cases. So what I'm saying is, if I want to compute the answer, let's say I want to print for n. So can I write it this way? It can be take 0 and print all the binary representations of n minus 1 and 1, and print all the numbers binary representation of n minus 1. Anyone, do you think this is correct, or do you see any flaw in this? Are we leaving upon any case? To prove it mathematically, I know that if I want to print the answer for n, that will be, as Shriyam said, that will be total 2 power n cases from 0 to 2 power n minus 1. For n minus middle binary numbers are missing. Anjana, can you tell me like what all numbers are missing? Middle numbers I didn't get it. Uh, let's say I want to calculate for two. For two, I know the binary numbers are 0001, 10, and 11. Okay, so what I'm saying is, in the first case, you can append a 0. No, how these are. So what I'm asking is like how these numbers will be missing. So let's say I'll tell you the scenario. So let's say I want to get the answer for n equals to 3. So what I'm saying with this equation is it can be 0 appended to all the two cases, right? And then 1 appended to all cases. And then 1 appended to all these cases. This will be my answer for n equals to 3 as per this equation. Are we leaving upon something now? And Anjana, are we leaving upon something, guys? Write a yes or no if we are leaving upon any case. Yeah. So we are not leaving upon anything. Guys, write it on the chat. Be as interactive as possible. If you have any doubts, feel free to ask me. This is, as I've already told you in the previous class, recursion and backtracking is the base of dynamic programming, and dynamic programming is what is the famous topic for all the companies. So if you will understand all these things like how to break a bigger problem into smaller problems, then it will be very helpful for you in dynamic programming, in understanding dynamic programming, understanding DFS, BFS trees and everything. So that's why be attentive, be try to think through all this and be as interactive as possible. And if you have any doubts, feel free to interrupt me and ask me the question. Okay, so we all have agreed that this equation is correct. Now let me try to write the code for these cases. Now, print binary, I'll be given an integer n. What will be my base case? I want to print an n-digit binary number. If I have covered, if I have, if I want to print n-digit binary number and n is 0, then I just want to return and do nothing. Or you can use this as empty. Otherwise, I want to print 0 in front of print binary in front of all the n minus 1 numbers, and I want to print 1 in front of all the numbers. Will this code work? Let me complete it. You guys, till then, you guys can write whether this code will work. If there is any flaw in this code, what is the flaw? Okay, so according to Sriram, it will work. Anyone else? Of, oh, but it will only until 3. I didn't get this, Sriram, like what you are trying to say. So let's say so you are saying that it will this code will work for n equals to 3, right? Let me try to call this and check what is the output for 3. Oops. Okay. And then also oh, so it is printing 000 correctly. It is printing 1, then a space, then 101. So in total, if you see, it is printing 8 numbers: 0, 2, these two, these two, these two, and for 3, we are expecting to get 8 numbers to get printed, but we are missing on some numbers. 00 is getting printed correctly. After that, 100 is getting printed correctly. Then, uh, what is the issue here? Like, can anyone of you tell me like what is the issue? And if I need some modification in the code, what all can I do as part of modifications? Anyone like run the code for n equals to 2? You can write it on the chat. Is there anyone who haven't understand the problem statement here, and you want me to repeat it again? Okay, so in this case also we are expecting 4 numbers for n equals to 2. We are getting 00 and 10 is correct, but these numbers are coming as wrong. We are missing upon 1 and 0 1. So what is the flaw in this code? Anyone? What do you think is the flaw? Okay, we'll wait for 1 more minute. If anyone wants to write anything, if anyone wants to give some other approach of solving this problem with the help of recursion. Okay, so I'll tell you the flaw in this code. So I told you that if I want to solve the problem for, let's say, n equals to 4, I want to split it into 2 parts where one part will do some stuff, the other part will call itself with n equals to 3 in this case. And both combinedly will give me the final result. And I told you, let's say my n equals to 3. Okay, so what I'm saying is, if you know the answer for n equals to 2, which are 0, 0, all the way up to 1, 1. And we can append a 0 here, or from 0, 0, all the way up to 1, 1, we can append a 1 here, right? These are the answers for n equals to 2, right? So the thing here is, if you see the code, I'm printing 0 only once. I'm printing 0, I'm printing 0 only once. But what I want to do is, I want to add this 0. I want to add this 0 in front of every of this possibility. Similarly, I want to add this 1 in front of all of these possibilities, right? So in case n equals to 3 and my n minus 1 is 2, in this case my n minus 1 is 2, so there are total 4 cases possible. So I want this 0 to get appended in all these 4 cases. And I'm printing it only once. That's why I'm getting less zeros here. Now the question, now what the question comes is, how to get this 0 to get printed in front of all of these cases? Any idea? I want this 0 to get printed in all of these cases. Anyone, any approach will work for me. Does anyone have to have any other approach? Like, do you have any doubts? If not, okay. Okay, so I told you that I need to somehow add this 0 in front of all these n minus 1 numbers. And when that is the case, what if I add one more state here? This is known as state. These are known as states. Okay, I add one more thing here, which is a string, which is known as prefix. And I'm saying that every time add this 0, add this 0 after this prefix, or instead of printing one only once, add this 1 after this prefix. And once you have explored your complete n, just print whatever the prefix is. Let me try running this code and let me remove this end else here. Uh, awesome. Oh, it worked. For n equals to 2, it print me all the cases. Let me try for n equals to 3 to check whether it is working fine or not. Oh, it printed all the cases. See, from 000 up to this 111. No cases printing, right? Yeah. So now what I have did here. Okay, so I added one more argument, or you can say this as a state, and I say that this will tell me I want to make a number n, and prior to I want to make all the binary numbers before n, and prior to this, what is the prefix that I have collected? What is the prefix that I have collected? So if I'll go here, I want to make I want to print all the binary digits of length 3. Yeah. So Sriram is asking, will it work for n greater than equal to 4? Let me show it to you. Let me check. Yeah, it does. Yeah. So what I did here, so I'll tell you what I did here. So I want the answer for n equals to 3. N equals to 3 digits, right? I tell you that I'll keep a prefix. And I'll print all the binaries which can start with 2, which are total 4 cases. All these 4 cases. So these 4 cases will come here. And once I have kept this prefix as 0, the other time I've kept this prefix as 1 and called this with n equals to 2. Then similar thing n equals to 2 will do. What it will do is it will add a prefix 0 to it will add a prefix 0. I'll show you. I'll clear out the diagram. So I want the answer for n equals to 3. I've added a prefix 0. Along with that, I want to make the answer for n equals to 2. For 2, what I did was I add a 0 to this prefix. Prefix was already 0. And I want the answer for 1. For 1, what I did was I add the prefix as 0 to this prefix. So I printed 000 in time because now I have come to my base condition, which is n equals to 0. The other case was after this one, either I can choose a 0 or I can go for a 1. 001 will get printed. Now, the other possibility for this is I can append a 1. For this 2, there are 2 cases 0 and 1. The 010 will get printed. 011 will get printed. Now, do you guys understand what all I have taught to you? Is there any doubts in this? So what I'm saying is I have added one prefix thing. That prefix will say me, you forgot about what have you done before. I'll tell you the prefix. What all have I already known. You focus on your current name. You should focus on your current name. I'll give you the prefix. You should focus on your current name. So this is my prefix. This is my current name. What this n will do is it will add 0 ones to prefix and solve the problem for n minus 1. It will then add a 1 to this prefix and solve the problem for n minus 1. And after I have traversed to all the digits, in that case, I will enter this base condition, which is n equals 0. And in that case, whatever will be my prefix, I'll print. Is that clear to all of you? Does anyone have any doubts in this? You can ask me, you can unmute yourself, you can write it on the chat. Anyway, any doubts, any questions, any queries? Even if you didn't understand anything, let me know. I can repeat everything. No one. If you have understood this, can you please write a yes so that I can know that you guys have understood all this. Yeah, so Nitin, you have written the code with the help of loops. I want you to write it with the help of recursion. Getting my point? Internal operation, how it is performing within Pixel. Okay, okay, I'll tell you. So I want to get the answer for n equals to 4, right? I have passed 4 along with a prefix. My prefix is an empty string. After that, what it does is it checks n is not 0, right? N is not 0. N is not 0. Then you came here, you subtracted 1 from n. Now my n is 3. And the prefix that I have made is 0. Another, okay, now you go deep dive into this. Now my n will become 2. This will call this function again. My n will become 2. And the prefix will become 0, 0. It will again call with n equals to 1. And the prefix will become 0, 0, 0. Then it will again call and this will become 0 along with the prefix as 0, 0, 0, 0. Now my n is 0, so it will print this prefix, which is 0, 0, 0, 0, right? After this, my code reaches here again. Currently my n is 1, and I have appended this 0, that's why I was getting this 0, 0, 0, 0. Now, after getting the code to this line, this 0 will get removed and I'll get this 0 along with 0, 0, 0, 1. So again my n is 0 and I'll print this prefix which is 0, 0, 0, 1. I've explored all the cases with this. So what will happen now is it will go here and it will make this 1 along with 0, 0, 1. This is my prefix now. After adding 1 as a prefix, it will again check both the possibilities. That my n is 0 and I have added 0 in front of this, or my n is 0 and I have added a prefix of 1. That way we are printing all these possibilities. Artha, is this clear to you, or do you want me to explain this further? Actually, while writing recursive code, while writing all these codes, you don't actually have to build this tree on your own. Just have an intuition in your mind, like how can you solve this problem. So I want to print binary, all the binary digits of 4 length, right? I want to break it down into smaller problems. So the first thing that pop up in my mind is if I can print all the binary numbers with digit 3, right? I can either append a 0 in front of that or I can append a 1 in front of that. These are the only two cases possible, and I have break it down into smaller problems. So I'll print this binary for n minus 1 digits, and like previously what I was doing is I was adding this 0, but it was printing this 0 only once and it was not adding this 0 in front of all these n minus 1 cases. So then I changed my approach, and instead of printing this 0, I added one more parameter which will be my prefix. So prefix will tell me that what all numbers have I already picked previously. So prefix is something like this. So let's say you want to print all the numbers with n equals to 2, and your prefix is, let's say, 110. So your prefix is telling you, you don't worry about me, you just print all the numbers starting with 2, and I'll keep, I'll add this 101 in front of what all you can print. So this will get printed in this case 101, 101, 01, and 101, 0, 10, 101, 1. So prefix is saying you do your part. You do your part. Your part is to print all the binary digits, binary numbers of length 2. I will add this 101 in front of all of you. Is this clear to everyone? Do you have any doubts in this? If you have any doubts, you can write it, or else you can write a yes in the chat. That will give me some indication that you have understand this. Or we'll pick some more problems, and maybe slightly difficult, or it will help you get the intuition on how to break a bigger problem into some small problems. Anything? Yes, no? Did you understand this? Guys, please be interactive. Please write it on the chat. Thanks, thanks. Let's move forward. Okay. So my next statement is, you are given a number n. You are given a number n, and you have to print all the possible dice rolls of n dices. So let's say I have 3 dices. So in this case, what I want to print is, I want to print the first dice can show 1, the second one can show 1, the third one can show 1. All the way up to all the 3 dices show 6. So these are all total possibilities which you want to print. A total of 216 possibilities. And I need to write the code for printing the dice rolls of n dices. Understand the problem? Did you understand the problem, guys? Yeah. So you have to print the dice rolls of all the n dices. So for n equals to 3, there are 216 cases. For n dices, we have total of 6 power n cases. I wanted to print all these cases. Oh, so Sriram is saying it will be exactly same. Let me try writing it once. Okay, so what will be your sub problem? So let's say I want to print the dice rolls of n dices. So, and, yeah. So if I want to print dice rolls for n dices, can we break it down into smaller problems somehow? Can I get the, if I have the dice rolls for n minus 1 dices, what can I append in front of them so that I can get the dice rolls for all these n dices? Anyone? So what I'm saying is, if I want to print dice rolls for 3 dices, and I know all the dice rolls for 2 dices, I can either append a 1 for the third dice, either append a 2 for the third dice, all the way up to 6. Is there any possibilities that is left in this case? You think of any of the possibilities that is left? If I want to print the dice rolls for 3 dices, it will be 2 dices appended with either one of these things. Have I left something in this? Yeah. Shriram, it's actually exactly the same. So previously, what the case was, what was the case is, I want to print 3-digit binary numbers. 3-digit binary numbers. For that, what I did was, if I know 2-digit binary numbers, I can either append a 0 or 1. But in this case, my cases are totally different. It can be from 1 to, or 1 from 1 to all the way up to 6. Right? Yeah. So only a small change will happen. If I do it this way, 1, 2, Let us check. Yeah, so yeah, wow, it worked all the way up to 6, 6, 6, 6. So recursion is so beautiful. Only these many lines of code and it printed everything. This is the power of recursion. You don't have to write a bigger code. Only these many lines of code and it printed everything. Okay, so I'll tweak the problem statement a little bit, and I want you to print the dice rolls with some particular sum. So let's say you have three dices, and I want you to print all the combination of these three dices where the sum is 8. So let's say 116 can be one of the case, 611 can be the other case, 422 can be the other case. So you have to print all the possibilities where the sum is given to you, where the sum is 8. How will you tweak the code in that case? Any ideas, anything? Some smaller changes required. Anyone append with 8 minus sum? Uh, why so? Append with 8 minus sum. Let's say, my sum is, I want to make 24 as the sum. So you are saying that I should append with 24 minus sum. This is what you are saying, Shriram? So let's say I want to make 24 with 4 dices. What all are the possibilities? It can be 6, 6, 6, 6. Only one possibility is there. How will you solve that question? Sum is 24 minus the sum of existing numbers. Yeah, so yeah, it will be only a smaller change. So what I can check here is, if I reach this point, I have made my complete string, right? My complete dice rolls. I can simply check if the sum of this prefix is equal to what I'm looking for, what I am looking for. Then print the prefix, otherwise leave it. I will put this and for calculating the sum, I put it x as input and it's I minus 0 because this is a character and I can return this answer. Yeah, that's it. Let's say I want to fit the 24. Um, yeah, it printed only 6666. Let's say I'll change it to 80. It printed all the cases in which the sum is 18. You can pick any one of them. You can pick this, sum is 18. So it has printed all the possibilities where the sum is 18. Did you guys understand this? So here what I did was, I know, like, after I have made the final prefix, I can check whether the sum of that particular prefix is the number of, like, is that the number for which I want the sum. If that is equal to the sum, then I can print that prefix. Otherwise, I'm printing nothing. Did you guys understood this approach, this problem? Questions, comments, anything? Others, please write a yes, no, doubts. Do you have any doubts, guys? Okay, so this technique is known as backtracking. So previously, like we checked in recursion. In case of difference among dices, Shrikar, can you please be more precise of what you want to ask? In case of difference among dices. Okay, if Shrikar is writing, I'll explain to you. So yesterday we saw that for solving a recursion problem, we'll be given some bigger input. We'll break it down into two problems. One is the smaller problem, and one is the part uh, from this end, and aggregated result of both of them will give me the final result. Today, the problems that I have solved here, these problems are known as backtracking problems. So, what is the difference between these recursion and backtracking? So, we know that if we, in case of recursion, if we want to solve it for n, I can solve it. I can make it into two parts, and I can aggregate both of them. But what happens in case of backtracking? I'll pick something, I'll explore all the possibilities with this, then I'll remove this. I'll pick the second thing, I'll explore all the possibilities with this, then I'll remove this. I'll pick third thing, I'll explore all the possibilities with this, and I'll remove this thing. So in our case of dice rolls, what happens is I started with one, I took a one, I printed all the cases, I printed all the cases which are starting with one by calling the function again with n minus 1. In the second, then I moved to one. I removed, popped out this one. I picked two. Then I printed all the cases starting from two. I removed this two. Then I picked three, and I printed all the cases starting from three. So this is known as backtracking. This is used to explore multiple paths. In recursion, what happens is recursion is basically calling the same function again and again. But in case of backtracking, what happens is I'll choose something, I'll explore that particular path, and then I'll backtrack. Let's pick a graph problem in this case. I know that you are not aware of graphs, but for some we are taking for loop and taking scene for different reasons. Take same approach. Right? I think Shrikar, it's still not clear to me. Can we take same approach? Can you please be more precise of what you want exactly want to ask? We haven't used any of the loops, so if you see my code, there is no loop there. This is for calculating the sum of all the dices that have picked. Okay, so you are saying that yeah, that's actually true. Okay, so here what I'm doing is after calculating the sum, I can check whether this is the sum what I was looking for. If that is the case, then I'm printing that difference. Another thing that I can do is I can maintain one more state, which is the sum. So in that case, the code will look something like this. Yeah. So I can simply check if my sum is what exactly I was looking for, and I can add this sum with one in this case. String is my 3, 4, 5, 6. So in this case we don't need a for loop at all. We can pass this another statement which is on 0. Yeah, see this. This is another approach in which I'm passing the sum along with this. So this sum is saying what all sum have I already picked up. So in that case, you don't need a yeah. So if you just want to count the number of elements with this sum, you can add a counter here. You can print it. It will give you the total number of cases with sum 18 for 4 dices. But, nice, Sriga. Total 80 cases are there. Okay. So what I was telling you is, let's pick a graph problem. Let's pick a graph problem. You are here and you want to go to this position. You are currently sitting here, right? There are multiple mediators house that you can go in between. All are connected in different way. So let's say this can be connected to this can be connected to this. There are lengths associated with all of them. So let's say this is 4 kilometers, there is 10 kilometers. All these are like, this cannot be, let's say there is no path between both of these houses, and in the end you want to reach to your destination. And I want you to calculate the shortest distance from this point to the end position. So these are not multiple houses. Can anyone tell me the approach of solving this problem with the help of backtrack? Like just a rough idea. I don't want to write the code for this because you might not be aware of how to take a tree or a graph as an input. So that's why like I won't go through the code, but I just want a rough idea. As you know, backtracking now. In backtracking, what happens is I'll pick something, I'll explore all the possibilities from that, then I'll remove that first. Then I pick the second possibility, I pick the second case, I'll pick all the possibilities from that, and then I'll remove this. So in this case, what will happen is I'll pick any of the house. I'll pick any of the house. I'll find all the possible ways of going from this house to, yeah, Sriram, something like that. So I'll pick some house. Okay. I'll pick, I'll explore all the possibilities when the starting house, what I've chosen is this house. And then I'll remove this as my first house. I'll pick some other house and I'll take minimum of all of them. So my approach will look something like this. So let's say I want to calculate the shortest distance from the starting node. Let's say this is my starting point. Let's add my endpoint also. Okay. So what I'll do is, if my start is equal to end, this can be my base condition. If I've already reached to end, then my distance will be 0, right? Otherwise, what I can do is, I can pick this start. I can, so wherever I can go to, let's say I can go to list of start. Like this will tell me from start where all can I go to. Let's say it is contained in this list. So I'll try to explore this with the help of this. So I'll take, this will be my min distance. Let's say it will be max or infinity for now. Min distance will be minimum of min distance. So what I'm doing here is I have my start point. This is my list of all the positions from where I can go to with this start. So I can pick any of those start. Okay. And I can, what I can do is I'll pick that as my next start and find the minimum distance of going to end, along with adding the cost for going to the start position. So let's say that is a cost of going from start to list of start of I. And simply I'll get the minimum distance. How many of you understand this depth first search? Nice, Tushar. This is known as depth first search actually. How many of you understood this problem statement and this particular code actually? So here what I'm doing is I want to go to start to end. I want my recursion to be a way in which I can go to from start to end. So I checked to which all positions I can go from start. So I iterated over all those positions. I iterated over all those positions. I find the shortest distance. I find the shortest distance from that particular position to my end. This will anyway return me the minimum distance and I don't have to take care about it because this is what recursion does. Recursion is saying me that in the end, I'll calculate you the answer. In the end, I'll give you the answer. You just rely on me. You just do your part. You just do your part and make the problem as small as you can for me. So I'm making the problem statement smaller. So instead of, I'm asking the shortest distance method that instead of calculating the distance from start to end, just calculate the shortest distance from this position to end. And I know that to go to this position from start, I'm incurring this cost, or you can see, say, let's say this is the distance. Okay. Then I can pick the second start. So in this case, what will happen is I want to go to start from start to end. I can pick one of the start positions. I'll explore all the possible paths to go to end. I'll pick minimum of all of them. Then I'll pick the second start position. I'll find all the ways to go to end. And I'll take minimum of all of them. And finally, I'll return minimum of all of them. So this is what backtracking means. Backtracking means choose something, explore your complete problem with that thing, and then remove that thing. I choose something, I explored my problem statement with this thing, and then I remove this. You don't have to worry about how recursion will work. Recursion will take care of everything on its own. So that's the magic of recursion. You don't actually have to go on each of the steps to see all the steps of recursion. Recursion magically will do everything for you. I defined my shortest distance code to be that it will give me the shortest distance between the start and the end position. I have to rely on the shortest distance method. Okay, so what I did was I found this first position. I found all the position to which I can go to from the start position. I go to that position and I find the minimum distance from that particular position to end top. In this way, I have shortened down my problem statement. And the base condition can be if I've already reached to the end, then I know the distance is 0, right? So I need to. So this is my base condition. And this is my. How many of you understood this? How many of you understood this? Give me a yes. Give me a yes or a no. Anyone? Any doubts? Thanks, Tushar. Thanks, Sriram. Others? What about others? I write the pseudo code here in this case. Thanks, Srikar. Yeah, thanks, Praveen. You might be thinking that so this is not actually efficient way. This is not an efficient way because in this we are considering all these parts. So there is one algorithm known as Dijkstra algorithm, which can use to find the shortest distance in Arab. We'll talk about it in some later class. We'll for sure cover it. But knowing backtracking and knowing recursion is a heavy add-on to all your coding skills. It will solve almost all kinds of problems. You don't have to write bigger codes with the help of for loops. You have to rely on recursion. Recursion will take care of everything else. This is the power of recursion. Others are okay. So I'll pick one more problem which is more famous for interviews for interview purposes, but I can pick that. I can pick that. Uh, have you heard of N-Queen's problem? N-Queen's problem, anyone? This is the most famous problem asked by most of the companies like CodeVision, uh, like multiple startups and big MNCs ask this question. N-Queen's problem. Okay, yeah. So I am hoping that you all guys might know chess. You have played chess before. So N-Queen's problem says that let's say you have a chessboard with n cross n cells. So this is my chessboard and these are n cross n cells. you have to place n queens in this chessboard such that no queen can attack to each other. So let's say if I'm placing a queen here, I can't place a queen in that this diagonal, in this row and this column. So I have to place this n queens. I have to find the number of ways of placing this n queens in a grid in such a way, so that no two queens can attack each other. By attacking, I mean that no other queen should lie on a diagonal or on the same row or on the same column of some other queen. We'll just tell you the approach now. I think we are almost close to time, so I am hoping that you will be able to code it yourself. But let me tell you the problem state. Let me tell you the approach that I can do. Okay, so I know that in each column I can place only one queen because if I place two queens in a single column, then they will attack each other, and I don't want that. So I want to place these n queens in this n cross n chessboard. So what I'm saying is I'll place this n queens one by one in each column. So what I'll do is I'll try to I'll try to uh, I'll try to take first queen. I'll try to take first queen and put it in column one row one. Then I can explore all the possibilities with this. That means then I'll pick the second queen. I'll solve the problem for n minus one queens. I'll pick second queen in any of these columns. Let's say I've picked this place. I can pick the third queen any of the third column. Like after placing all of these queens, I can simply check. I can simply check with the help of a loop or something that whether two queens are attacking each other. That will be simple because I don't have to check for columns now because in each column I'm placing only one queen. I only have to check for row and diagonals. Right. The other thing that I can do is while placing only I can check whether all the queens that I have placed before is can attack this particular queen or not. So let's say similar to prefix problem, similar to prefix, in that case we have prefix. In this case, let's say we have an array in which we have the position of all the, let's say, prefix queens which we have already placed. And we are sure that these are not attacking each other. Now I want to place the sixth queen because this is the prefix of 5. I want to place the sixth queen in the sixth column. I'll try to put it down in the, I'll try to put that particular queen in the first column. I'll check whether it can get attacked by any of these queens. If yes, I won't place it here. I'll try to put it to the next possible case. I'll try to put this queen in sixth column in second row. Let's say it is not getting attacked by anyone. Then I can place that here and I can move forward. And similarly, my prefix will keep on changing, similar to that 0 1 problem of printing all the binaries, dices, and everything. And that way, in the end, if I reach the end, that means I have solved this problem. I have placed all the endpoints in such a way that such that no queens are attacking each other. Can you guys code this? Do you guys get the rough idea of what the problem statement is and how am I approaching this? Yep. I not equals to j, I not equals to I, and for diagonal condition, so you know that 2 lies in the diagonal of 4 4. So you need to check whether I1 minus I2 equals to j1 minus j2. That is the case. This is the case of diagonal. If I1 minus I2, absolute value of I1 minus I2, that means a mod of I1 minus I2 is equal to mod of j1 minus j2. That case, both are equal. Do you guys understand all this? Give me a yes, no, anything, so that we can stop. Doubts, anything? Do you want me to pick, repeat anything? Thanks, man. Other people can also write a yes or no. Thanks, Sriram. Thanks, Tushar. Thanks, Sukhan. I'm sure you might be thinking that where does backtracking, who asks backtracking? So backtracking is the most famous method of solving all kinds of problems, and this is heavily used in all your DFS, BFS, and not BFS, BFS, and all the DB problems. Is the answer is 7 queens. So it's basically known as 8 queens problem because 8 cross 8 chessboard is famous, right? But it can be solved for n queens also, and for n queens problem. N queens. It's n queens problem. Oh, I think yeah, that's it. Thank you guys. Thanks a lot. For being I'll be available for next 5 minutes. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Have a nice day, guys.